And welcome in to the post-trade deadline epic baseball insiders with my buddy, my pal, my hero, Robert by Robert Murray, who is running on fumes but couldn't be happier to be here. The sun almost setting in Phoenix. I'm on location myself here. But Bert, this was one of the most interesting trade deadlines we have seen in a while. For those who went and for those who didn't, good to see you, buddy.
Good to see you too, Carm. And I'm glad I have a voice because I was not optimistic about that, but here we are. How we doing, pal?
What do you yell to the people that you're talking to all day long? How do you lose your voice at a trade deadline?
Just a lot of talking and a lot of talking to myself. Yeah, not much water either. I was basically had two hands on my phone the entire time, Carm. It was good times for sure.
Okay, all right. So, I guess, and put all your questions in the chat. We'll get through as many as we can tonight. We're here for a good 45 minutes to an hour, something like that, and a very busy day. But Juan Soto, Bert, you said you would eat your shoe. I don't know what you're going to have to eat or have to do. I think we said something. I think it was chili and ketchup or whatever. It doesn't matter. He is a San Diego Padre. You said that if he was going to go, the Padres would be right there, and that's what ended up happening. It was tomato juice in a Reese's cup, so good luck with that, Bert. We can't wait. Your reaction, Juan Soto to the Padres for a significant haul, but it's a good day to be a Padres fan, clearly.
Yeah, it's an extremely good day to be a Padres fan. And yeah, they gave up an absolute haul. Like James Wood was a player that the Padres and other teams throughout the league view as one of like the premier prospects in baseball. And he was the key to the deal for the Nationals. And getting Robert Hassel, getting Mackenzie Gore, and getting some other players too. Luke Voit being another, which he was the guy that ended up filling in for Eric Hosmer. We can get into that in a little bit. It was absolutely it was the trade of a lifetime, Carm. Like that's the biggest trade in baseball history is what we just witnessed there. And yeah, the Padres, they were determined to pull it off. I can tell you, ever since Soto became available, they were firmly in the mix. And I kept saying, watch the Padres for Soto and watch them be creative for other moves. They did that with getting Josh Hader too. And we can get into that in a little bit. Like I have some inside info on Hader that we can share, but Padres swung big. They wanted to get big, and boy, they ended up doing it here.
Yeah, so just to recap the trade, Juan Soto and Josh Bell, the first baseman, from the Nats to the Pods for left-handed pitcher Mackenzie Gore, outfielder Robert Hassel III, shortstop C.J. Abrams, outfielder James Wood, right-handed pitcher, I hope I'm saying this right, Harlan Susana, and Washington also getting first baseman designated hitter Luke Voit. And now, I guess GM Rizzo, Soto had a moment, as was reported, emotional thing, and people are looking at this as a win-win. I don't know, that's all speculation clearly at this point. But in your mind, Bert, looking at the trade, what would you call it?
I would call it a win now move for the Padres, and also look at the future for the Nationals. And also, it's not just a look at the future, it's an extremely good look at the future because their future now is extremely bright. Mackenzie Gore, if he's healthy, he's got the elbow injury now, has the ability to be a frontline starter and is somebody who can be an anchor for that rotation for them. James Wood, as I said, is a premier player. Like what the Nationals got there, they have some premium prospects who can turn into some very good players. It's going to be a very hard thing for them to become Juan Soto, obviously, but they got some extremely good pieces there. But for the Padres and their sake, getting Juan Soto, pairing him with Manny Machado it's a franchise-altering move, Carm. And what it does, I think a huge part of this that is not being talked about enough is that it takes pressure off of Fernando Tatis Jr. when he returns. The Padres were privately concerned that with them struggling going into the trade deadline and struggling going into the All-Star break, Tatis would feel pressure to carry the load when he returned. Now he can ease in, not have too much pressure, and morph into the guy that they hopefully believe can be a franchise like caliber player for the postseason here. So just a great trade around.
Two-time All-Star. He won the Derby this year. Not that that really matters. What does matter is that he's 23 years old, and you look at what he's done to this point in his career, and it's with the all-time greats in the history of the game. So, and then, I've seen guys who are keyed into the Padres, like our guy Ryan Phillips at the Big Lead, saying that it seems like people are confident that the Padres will be able to sign him. You have anything on that part of it?
I don't. But the Padres, they are spenders. I know they're pretty regarded as a small market team here, Carm, just because San Diego's not regarded as a big market team. But they spend money. They signed Fernando Tatis Jr. for $340 million. The thing is I don't know if they have the $500 million to sign Juan Soto. I don't know how many teams actually do have that, but I know there was some people on Boris's side, or on his camp, I should say, who thought that they would have a good chance of being able to keep him.
What about the Eric Hosmer part of this? He was supposedly in the original deal, but then wouldn't go to Washington, had the no trade clause, ends up in Boston. So I was just confused by that. Yeah, you have a no trade clause, but you're happy as a Red Sox. You're not happy as a National. So it's people are like, well, and I don't want to get into his family business, but people are like, well, he's expecting a child, but he still ended up being willing to be traded across the country.
No, he was. And the thing is he wanted to be in a place where he had a shot to win. That was extremely important to him. And the Nationals would not have provided that at all. That team, we're looking at a AAA roster at this point for them. The Red Sox, they're going to play him a lot at first base, they've said. And he'll be in a position where he has at least a chance to win. Not that the Red Sox are going to be a prime contender by any means. But going to the Red Sox was a lot better for him than going to the Nationals. And he had the right to veto that kind of a trade, and he did. And the deal was the misconception here, Carm, is that the deal was never in danger if Hosmer was or was not in part of it. It was going to get done regardless. It was just Hosmer deciding if he wanted to go. So, and he didn't. Yeah. So he went to Boston.
Okay. As far as the Dodgers and the Cardinals, who were also reported to be close on this, what were you hearing before the trade went down?
No, the Cardinals were never close. And I don't think the Dodgers were ever close either. They were in, but I never sensed much optimism from their side that they were going to be a prime contender for them or for Soto. They were going to lurk just in case the price went down and got to a point where they'd do it. But to me, this was Padres or bust, and the Padres got them. And I'll tell you, the Padres-Dodgers rivalry, it might be the best in baseball at this point. I don't know what you think, Carm, but I think it's the best.
It's sure. I'm not going to argue that. If it's not, it's absolutely right there. Tell me about the hater part of this, because I know we've occasionally he's popped up in episodes. It hasn't been for a minute, but when I was first getting to know you, you were hinting to me that at some point Hader might make his way out of Milwaukee. That is a premier left-handed arm. We all know this out of the bullpen, and what a haul. Not in the same deal, but quite a week going on here, San Diego.
Yeah, this was the first domino to really fall at the deadline, and Hader. It became pretty clear about 5 or 6 days before the trade was made that Hader was he was more available than he had been in years past. The Brewers were not making calls on him, but teams were calling, and the Brewers were engaging more than they had in years past. And the Padres found that out pretty quickly, and they were able to come up with a deal that involved Taylor Rogers, involved Estuary Ruiz, who's a player that the Brewers really like, Dinelson Lamet, who's been battling injuries but has had a past history of starting, and another player. And it was enough to get the deal done for the Brewers. But with Hader, this has been 2 years in the making, Carm. Hader has pitched 1 inning for them, nothing more than that. And that stems back from his arbitration case. And it was a situation where the Brewers at some point had to make a decision on Hader. In years past, they had 2 or 3 years of control on him, and they were not in a position where they needed to trade him. but he was extremely valuable with a year and a half of control. And now is the right time for them to move him and maximize a return. And hang on.
Big moves, more deals. Don't worry, the deadline's passed. Uh-oh.
No trade.
Okay, I'll just recap a couple things as you're getting up to date. Just on the deal, as Bert has gone through, the Padres getting just the ages of these guys, I think, is just of interest. Gore is at his innings limit, you would think, and this is a 23-year-old left-hander, made his debut last year. He's ranking among the game's top pitching prospects since he was selected. He was a first-round pick in 2017. Abrams is 21. He was the number 6 pick in the 2019 draft. He's playing at AAA. Hasn't been great this year. Hassel is 20. He was the 8th pick in the 2020 draft. He's at high A, hitting 300, got 10 homers, 55 RBIs for anything that matters. Wood, 19, second-round selection last year. He's also at Class A, hitting 320, 10 homers, 45 RBIs. So this is why you pay your GM the big money to be able to scout a system, and that's what we got. All right, I think we've covered the pods thoroughly. Let's move to the big story. I think Chicago's a big hit today. We can stop there actually on both sides of town. But the Cubs were the bigger point. I mean, we said 1,000 times here that Willson Contreras was definitely going to get traded, and a lot of their bullpen arms would go as well. The bullpen did happen, but obviously Contreras and Ian Happ did not. And you kept on reporting, Bert, that the Cubs were asking for a ton, and ultimately no one paid the price. So, and the Cubs didn't fold. They chose to hang on to him, which is confusing a lot of Cub fans today, and probably confusing Willson Contreras and Ian Happ as well.
That was the biggest surprise of this entire time, Carm. Like, holy smokes. Like, for weeks we had heard the Cubs are going to trade Willson Contreras, and like Ian Happ was less of a sure thing. Like, since he's controllable after this year, like it wasn't a sure thing he was going to be moved. But Contreras seemed like a sure bet to go. And about an hour beforehand, a team in contact with Contreras, or a team in contact with the Cubs about Contreras, was like, we don't think he's going to get moved. And I'm thinking, like, why wouldn't they move him? Like, that doesn't make much sense to me. And the thinking for them is that they can have him for the rest of the year and then extend the qualifying offer to him after the season, and they have a chance to re-sign him, I mean, which I can't imagine is likely, or they can recoup a draft pick for him if he signs elsewhere, and that's the most likely scenario. Is that the move that I would have done, Carm? No, but the thing that I've consistently heard from people who are talking to the Cubs about Contreras is that asking price was wicked high, and they didn't budge on it. And that, to me, was a huge mistake by them, and because of it, Contreras wasn't moved.
So you're telling me that they're going to extend a qualifying offer, and if they don't sign him, they're going to get – it's a sandwich pick, right? It's a pick in between the first and second round. That's what they get in return?
Basically, yeah.
So they're going to get the 31st pick in the draft. That's in their mind was better than anything else that they could get for Willson Contreras, despite the fact that they had this high asking price. I mean, I don't want to say that Jed Hoyer doesn't know what the hell he's doing, but it's confusing.
It's very confusing, very. Yeah. And here's the thing: is that there is a belief, and I think Jesse Rogers said this on ESPN, that they may have been waiting for the Padres to do a deal like this. And the Padres, I mean, they were in, like they wanted catching help, but they ended up getting Soto, they got Josh Bell, they got Hader, and that basically took them out of the market for him. And then that left them with the Mets, and the Mets had made it pretty clear in negotiations that they weren't willing to trade some of their top prospects. And that made a deal incredibly difficult. Like, Houston was the other, like, pretty, was the other team that was pretty connected to him, but they ended up getting Christian Vasquez from the Red Sox. And I'll tell you, like, another team that was on Hader was actually the Houston Astros.
Really? On Hader?
Yeah, on Hader.
Yeah.
So the Astros have been doing work on Hader for about a week, if not more. But ultimately, obviously, went to the Padres. But yeah.
So it sounds like the Cubs, and it makes a whole lot of sense here. It sounds like the Cubs were absolutely relying on San Diego and did not think, or were at least hoping, that the Juan Soto trade would not go down and they would get some of the prospects that the Padres were willing to deal in the Soto deal. That doesn't happen, and then they were left holding the bag. That's not a great day. That's not a great day for the Cubs rebuild. As happy as maybe some Cub fans are that Contreras, who was in a tearful embrace with Ian Happ, I thought our guy Jeff Passan had a great tweet. At least Happ and Contreras get to hug again, and I am pro men hugging each other and expressing some emotion. But
damn right, Carm. As a member of Team Hug, I endorse that comment.
Yeah, our guy. Mihir, I hope I'm saying that right. Owadi, thank you for the jumping in or in the chat. Did Jets mess this up, Bert and Carm? I think we're doing a double ding on that one. Listen, here my answer on that is not only did they mess this one up, but the Cubs have been messing up since they didn't once they offered Chris Bryant and Javi Baez and Anthony Rizzo, all these guys contracts, and they all said no. That's when they should have been moved. If this is the way they were going to play it, if they weren't going to get to market value or get the deal done, whatever it would have taken, then they should have moved them and not waited until the very end. The Cubs, it's a borderline miracle that they were able to get Pete Crow Armstrong from the Mets last year, who's one of the Cubs' top prospects. It doesn't look like they got anything for Chris Bryant. I'm not tracking the Rizzo deal as well. So and Caleb Killian, they did get from the Giants in the Bryant deal, but
I can tell you this, Carm.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the Mets were concerned about making another Pete Crow Armstrong level deal. Like that was like their hesitation in moving some of their top prospects like Mark Santos, and I can't blame them for that. But
right. I'm sure they were. I mean,
they got ripped off in that trade, the Javi Baez trade. Like Pete Crow Armstrong is going to be the Cubs center fielder for a decade. Like that was a great trade. So
yeah. So okay, the Mets and Cubs did hook up on the Michael Givens deal, which I'm assuming wasn't your favorite trade of the day. Zachary Best wants to know your favorite trade of the day. Bert, you have one?
I mean, I think the cop-out answer is Juan Soto. Because that's everybody's favorite of the day. But I'll go with the surprise one here, Carm. I'll go with Harrison Bader going to the Yankees for Jordan Montgomery. And I'm not saying that was the one who broke it, but like that trade to me came out of nowhere. I was firmly of the belief that the Cardinals were going to acquire one of, like, in addition to Jose Quintana, like Nathan Eovaldi or a Noah Syndergaard type, because like those were the two starters that they were in conversations with. Also, Carlos Rodon as well was another one on the Cardinals' radar. And Jordan Montgomery was not believed to be available. Same with Harrison Bader. And all of a sudden, I got a text saying, hey, like, it's going to be Montgomery for Bader. And I'm like, huh? And I texted somebody else, and they were like, yeah, it's true, go. And I went, and yeah, it was a very confusing trade, but it makes a lot of sense. It makes like that's basically how it went, Carl. Like that's if you want the behind the scenes stuff, like that's what it was. And it made so much sense for the Cardinals because they like Montgomery fits exactly what they want. Oh, you want to say something?
I'm just laughing because that just sounded like you were a kid. Can I go? Yes, and so I went. It was like you learned how to pee. I don't know. That was amazing the way you described.
Hey, everybody tinkles.
Yeah, everybody tinkles. And give me a Bert bomb mustache. We love you. It's not a Bert bomb. It's a Bert alert. Big Rob bomb. Maybe we should move it to Big Rob bomb over Bert alert.
I'm a fan of Bert bomb. I'm a Bert bomb guy.
You like Bert bomb? You want to get rid of Bert alert and go Bert bomb?
Yeah, I like the Bert bomb.
Bert bomb greater than Woj bomb?
Oh god, no shot. Dude, Woj is the king. Although I did enjoy Woj tweeting a picture of Passan today, him breaking the Soto trade. That was good times. So Soto.
Go Jeff. But you had Bader, buddy. Soto's a little bigger, but you got Bader. Let's not sleep on
people forget.
I'm not forgetting. No one's forgetting.
That's right.
Bader, Baseball Insiders, Bert, Bomb, Bert alert, officially dead. All right, Bert bomb it is.
Wow.
I want to read because it's if anything else, it's just popping on my Twitter timeline here. Rick Hahn, who's the White Sox general manager, met the media today, and he's like, if you're a Sox fan that's upset, we get it. We're upset too. We wish we would have been able to do more and something would have aligned, but it just didn't happen. It's rare that a GM will get up there and say something of that ilk, but credit to Hahn, I guess, for doing that. You know, let's see. Here's the comment of our guy James Fegan from The Athletic. We're disappointed that we weren't able to do more to try to improve this club. Anyone out there feeling a level of frustration and disappointment, I'm right there with you. What was going on with the White Sox that you were following, Bert, if anything?
Yeah, I was firmly in the belief that they would end up getting another reliever. Like they tried for Shohei Ohtani. Like they talked to the Yankees or they talked to the Angels about Ohtani, but like there was no deal that was ever happening there. As I said before on the previous episode, it was 10,000 to 1 that he was going to get traded. And they had made it clear about 48 hours before the deadline, like it was going to be a 0 chance there. But the White Sox, it was a very puzzling trade deadline. But I mean, I don't think it's the end of the world, Carm, because we've talked about this before. Does that team look like a roster you want to invest in? To me, no. I mean, they've shown nothing that makes me think that they're a great contender. That's me, and I know you're going to disagree with that as a White Sox guy.
Listen, it's not because I'm a quote unquote White Sox guy. I just more like, look, they're 3 back in the division. I mean, that division is not. No one is scared of either Minnesota and or Cleveland, right? They're also 3 back in the wild card for the record. They're in their window. What's interesting to me is, they obviously weren't even sniffing the Juan Soto thing, but a guy like that gets traded in the middle of your window to try to win the whole damn thing. You would think the Sox might have been more involved there. The Ohtani thing, it was announced oddly that the White Sox attempted to get Shohei Ohtani, sort of like they attempted to get Manny. I'd have to go back and look, but it was moving around Chicago Twitter that the White Sox made an attempt at Shohei Ohtani. Hang on, I'll pull it up right now. And you just said they called on Ohtani, right?
Yep. There's a lot of teams that called on Ohtani. So it's not like it was for like 1 of 30. I mean, it was basically like the entire league would call on Ohtani.
Yeah. Just heard announcer on ESPN Baseball said the White Sox allegedly went after Shohei Ohtani. Nobody believes it, but they love to leak out that they tried. There's a lot of that. The Bleach Report has a tweet out there. The Angels will not be trading Shohei Ohtani per John Heyman. Yankees, Padres, and White Sox were among the teams to make serious offers. Serious, Bert. I don't know if you would call it.
I wonder what a serious offer looks like for Ohtani. I mean, It's going to be Soto plus, Carm. It's going to be that. Yeah. It's going to be a lot.
Okay. We can.
Actually, you want to know? So you want to know what somebody described a potential, or a potential Ohtani trade package to me? It would be, and I quote, a seismic shit ton, is what.
Seismic shit ton.
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
Yeah,
I just got mentioned by Jeff Passan. I don't know what that was about.
Let's.
Yeah, he gave me a shout out for the work that we did, so that was cool. Dude, shout out, like, I know I've given Jeff some shout outs before on this podcast, but like Jeff Passan, like there's not many people better than Jeff Passan. Like he's a great dude. Like all those guys in the baseball Twitter world or like baseball reporting world, great human beings. So shout out to them.
Shout out to all the baseball Twitter people. Let's see here. I want to read this. Okay. Always appreciate the work of colleagues and competitors like at Ken Rosenthal, at Fine Sand, at by Robert Murray. There you go, buddy.
How's it going?
At John Heyman, at Joel Sherman, at John Morosi, at Bob Nichol, and plenty of others whose work grinding through the trade deadline informs, enlightens, and makes us all smarter fans.
Wow. I'll tell you what I got the alert from that I got Jeff Passan mentioning me, I thought I was going to get like destroyed or something, but it was a nice tweet. So thank you, Jeff.
Can I write at him? Say, what about the guys who work with @ Robert Murray and just make him better for however the hell just sit here and smile at him on this show for 47 minutes twice a week?
I mean, I was going to make a comment, but I'm too nice to say that.
What you gotta do.
I love how proud Carm looks right now.
Were you about to say, listen, you're my dead weight, and I do my best to carry you each week.
Yeah, that's why my back hurts every day.
Yeah, no, I get it. Batman gets all the credit. Robin gets none. No problem. That's all right. I love being your Robin buddy. Wef Wass and Max Hilbert. I don't know how creative that is, but and seems like you don't like Jeff, but
no.
Yes.
So Max is actually my best friend from back home.
Oh, really? We got a best friend on the line.
I've been like 5. So shout out to Max for watching this too. That's my guy right there.
Max, your next chat can be something about Robert as a child. Carm is your.
He knows me more than anybody, so that's terrifying, Carm.
Yeah, well, that would be good.
That could be bad.
All right. Do we give the Phillies and the Mets credit for adding to their bullpen? Does that move the needle in any way, shape, or form on either side?
So I am not going to hype the Mets, but I will hype the Phillies because I didn't think they were going to make that big of moves going into this because they were pretty reluctant to part with their top prospects. But they ended up getting David Robertson from the Cubs, gave up Ben Brown, who was actually somebody like evaluators around the league really like. And they also got Noah Syndergaard. So I'll give you a little bit of insight into what the Syndergaard market looked like. Is last night I had somebody text me that Syndergaard, his talks with the Blue Jays were heating up. I thought Syndergaard was going to Toronto. Turned out it wasn't totally accurate, but the Blue Jays were firmly in this thing, and I presume them to be the favorite going into this. And the Phillies stepped up and made an offer to get Syndergaard, and I thought that was a very good move because they needed another starting pitcher, and he's somebody who's very familiar with the NL East. And they didn't give up a whole lot. The deal that I didn't like though for them was getting Brandon Marsh for Hop. I might be pronouncing that name wrong. He's now the Angels' #1 prospect, and Marsh is a good player. Don't get me wrong, but I thought they could have gotten a little bit more in return. But they needed a center fielder. They were pretty desperate for it, and gives them an answer for it right now and long term.
A little buried tidbit in there for you Cub fans out there. Johnny, my guy, Bert likes the return that the Cubs got for David Robertson, which, hey, that's a win in Cubland, right? I mean, pull up a reliever whose arm was going to fall off, and you get a valuable piece. Good job on that. Let me roll through the chat here and see if there's anything. I don't think we talked about Isaac. What arms were the Rays in on? Bert, was Tampa doing anything that you were paying attention to?
They were talking to a lot of different teams about different things, but I can't give you specific names on that one. I'm sorry about that one. So
okay, no apologies necessary. It's absolutely okay. And Sean wants to know about the Phillies giving up on Mickey Moniak too soon. Our guy, is that a in your mind? Did the Phillies make a mistake here, Bert?
I was surprised that he was traded. There was rumblings earlier in the day that it was possible that he would get moved, but I didn't think they would do it until they ended up getting Brandon Marsh. And then then it was basically writing on the wall that something was going to end up happening with Moniak, and it got him Noah Syndergaard. So it's not like they got him, they traded him for nothing. They ended up getting a pretty substantial piece. And in reality, Syndergaard's a free agent at the end of the year, and the Phillies are going to have a chance to re-sign him, or the first chance to re-sign him. So it could end up resulting in a long-term answer in the rotation. So I'm not totally against it just because it got him Syndergaard here.
All right, a couple more people jumping in here. And Johnny, we love you. You're a diehard, my friend. The Cubs traded Scott Efros to the Yankees. 28. The sidearm. You like that deal, huh? They get a guy coming back, Wisniewski, 24, 6-7, 3.5 ERA at AAA. Any love there?
I was a fan of that trade for the Yankees. Especially, I also like the return for the Cubs too. Like that was a pretty notable return, but the return was so high because Efrost he's controllable, and that was something that the Yankees really wanted. Is he was a controllable guy. He's had a great year this year. You're in Chicago. I'm not going to call you a Cubs guy or Chicago guy, Carm. It seems like you're offended by that label, but it's. I thought that was a really good addition for them. I thought that was smart. That was an under the radar one because I had heard earlier in the day there was about to be an under the radar reliever moved. Couldn't figure out a name. Basically, I had found out a reliever was being moved. I just didn't know what team or what player or whatever. But Efrost, that was a good move for them. I thought that was smart.
Hayden Wisniewski, 24, 6-7. Was pitching at AAA. Yankees picked him in the 6th round of the 2019 draft out of Sam Houston State. All right, there you go, Cub fans. You didn't trade Wilson Contreras for a huge haul. In fact, you got no haul. In fact, you can go out to Wrigley Field in September and see Wilson and give him another standing ovation. But you got Wisniewski. All right. Overall, Bert, before we get out of here, biggest winners. Actually, let me mention the Royals too. Whit Merrifield should have been traded 4 years ago, but he finally goes out the door here. That was a long time coming for Kansas City going to Toronto. Apparently, Whit is now going to be willing to get vaccinated because you got to do that in Canada. It's the way it works. Did the Royals make a worthy trade here in your mind? Good old Kansas City. Good old Dayton Moore. It's my old stomping grounds, man. Go Royals.
I always forget you're a Kansas City guy because you were with Passon before you were with me.
I was.
Yeah, but I thought the exact same as you, Carm. I thought the Royals waited 4 years too long to make that trade. And the return for Merrifield was pretty light. And something that I had heard pretty consistently throughout the process is that the Royals on a lot of their players like Michael Taylor, Merrifield, Barlow, Josh Staumont, they were really underwhelmed with the package that they were getting in return and trade offers. And that's why we didn't see a bigger sell-off for them. I thought Merrifield made a whole lot of sense for the Brewers or the Astros or a lot of these center field needy teams. You got a sneeze, Carm?
No, I just don't get it. The Royals have been bad forever. You waited until the dude was 33 years old to finally dump him at the deadline for nothing to Toronto, to a place that he's got to get vaccinated. It's almost like you wanted to put Whit Merrifield in prison. Hey, we're not trading you. You could have been a great player for somebody in the middle of your prime. Instead, we're holding on to you for this huge package that never came. And by the way, you got to get vaccinated now that we finally traded you. That's just.
Yeah. I wouldn't equate that to going to prison, though. That seems a bit harsh.
They were in baseball Royals prison. The Royals wouldn't let the guy go, and they finally let him go. They sent him to the Blue Jays.
Dude, Blue Jays, that's a fun team. Fun team, good city, Carm. That's
listen. Moving to Toronto is on the board for me at some point in this lifetime, depending on how this world continues to spin. I love Toronto, but for Scottsdale, sure. A little hot down there, Bert. And I don't know, man. About 5 years from now, it's going to be 200 degrees walking out the door. So I'm a little nervous. But
you walk outside for 10 minutes, you end up going back in your place at medium rare and a medium. That sounds pretty
good. I like your positive attitude in regards to everything. All right, Lazy Jake, we want to get you in here. Do you know anything about why the Red Sox kept on to JD Martinez, Eovaldi? An interesting day for Boston.
Yeah, the Red Sox held pretty. They were talking to the Mets a lot about JD Martinez, and Nathan Eovaldi was a player who drew a bunch of interest throughout the league. The Cardinals, as I mentioned, are one of the teams in there. There were a bunch of others that checked in and tried to talk to the Red Sox about them, but they didn't get any offers that they thought were worthy, and they didn't want to have a massive sell-off here. This was a case where they wanted to move some pieces like Vasquez, to name one, and upgrade other parts of the roster and get Tommy Pham, get Eric Hosmer. They wanted to remain competitive, and they viewed Eovaldi specifically as somebody who was a big part of that and maintaining that competitive edge that they have. And He struggled recently, of course, but he pitched very well against the Astros the other day, and showed signs of his pre-struggle self, and that further enticed them to keep him. They listened, of course, but they didn't get a deal that they found worthy, so they decided to keep him. And he wants to stay in Boston too.
All right, be a Red Sox, stay a Red Sox, live the dream, Boston. Let's go, Gabrielle Starr. I don't know how she feels about this, but our one of our great Red Sox fan-sided friends, girl at the game, also dominating our Phillies coverage. She, I don't know. Anyway, Gabrielle, shout out for you. Bert, I think we did it, man. Trade deadline. Wild damn day, man.
Very. I am ready to have a high noon, go work out, and go sit in my hot tub. That's exactly what I'm going to go do and try to disconnect.
Isn't high noon alcohol?
Oh, I'll have the high noon afterward. That's gonna be my post-workout.
So you're gonna work out.
Yep.
Then you're gonna get in the hot tub.
Yep.
And then you're gonna have the high noon.
Oh, I have the high noon while I'm in the hot tub, Carm. It's gonna be a bad day to be a nooner, Carm. I can just tell you that right now.
So you're gonna. All right. I mean, the way you live your life is just inspiring for all of us. Good job, buddy.
There we go.
Wobert, Wurray, and Wark Warman.
That's right.
This Max Hilbert.
We're all W's over here, Carm. That's what we do.
We're getting wins. All right, Max, you sound like the dude to party with. Let's hang out soon. All right.
Bad influence over there.
We are back with another Baseball Insiders sooner than later. I'm not exactly sure what the schedule looks like right now, with the wild trade deadline week that we're having. But thank you all for joining today. Enjoy your Juan Soto San Diego. And the rest of you out there who are happy with your baseball teams right now, you do that as well. And for those who are frustrated, just know that you're not alone, because there's a lot of people scratching their heads on what was a crazy baseball trade deadline day. @ Robert Murray, you're the man, brother.
You're the man, Carm. I appreciate you as always, brother.
Back at you, bro.
Be great.
We'll be great as well. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching the Baseball Insiders.